Ronnie O'Sullivan is out. Is this the end of the Ronnie O'Sullivan as we know him? The Rocket has just pulled out of yet another major tournament, and the snooker world is buzzing with questions. Stick around, because what we're about to reveal will shock you about the current state of snooker's greatest legend. Just days ago, the snooker world was hit with devastating news. Ronnie O'Sullivan has pulled out of this year's British Open due to medical reasons. The World Snooker Tour announced on Tuesday. The 49-year-old was scheduled to face Sanderson Lam in Monday's opening round, but Daniel Walmsley has now replaced him in the draw. But here's what makes this withdrawal particularly alarming. The 49-year-old has not played since the Saudi Arabia Masters in mid-August and is also absent for this week's English Open. We're talking about a player who hasn't competed in over a month, and now he's missing even more tournaments. The British Open carries a massive £502,000 prize fund, with the winner taking home a life-changing amount. Yet Ronnie is walking away from it all. The exact nature of his medical condition remains unclear, which has fans and experts speculating wildly about what's really going on behind the scenes. What's even more concerning is the timing. This withdrawal comes just weeks after his heartbreaking loss to Neil Robertson in the Saudi Arabia Masters final, where he produced those incredible double maximums in the semi-final. Was that performance his swan song? Now, let's break down the shocking reality of Ronnie's recent disappearing acts. Ronnie O'Sullivan has pulled out of the Northern Ireland Open, having already withdrawn from the British Open and Wuhan Open in recent weeks. But that's just scratching the surface of his absence from competitive snooker. In February 2025, Ronnie O'Sullivan was pulled out of next week's Wade Cup World Open for medical reasons. He was supposed to face Stuart Carrington in the opening round, but once again, medical reasons forced his withdrawal. The withdrawals keep piling up. The 2025 Masters, where he was defending champion, the German Masters, the Welsh Open, and now the British Open. We're looking at a player who's systematically removing himself from the sport that made him a legend. But here's what's really got people talking. The 49-year-old reached the semi-finals. O'Sullivan apologised to his fans on social media after his World Grand Prix withdrawal. When was the last time you saw Ronnie O'Sullivan apologising to fans for not playing? This isn't the confident, sometimes arrogant Rocket we've known for decades. To understand how serious this situation has become, we need to go back to January 2025 and the withdrawal that shocked the snooker world to its core. Ronnie O'Sullivan has opened up on his decision to withdraw from the Masters, admitting he exhausted himself at the end of 2024 and start of 2025. This wasn't just any tournament. Ronnie was the defending Masters champion, going for a record-extending 9th title. The Masters is snooker's most prestigious invitational event, and walking away from it as defending champion is almost unheard of in professional sport.
Ronnie O'Sullivan has described his decision to withdraw from the Masters as a nightmare and admits he lost the plot in the build-up to the tournament.
The defending champion pulled out on Friday, having snapped his cue in frustration following a defeat to Robert Milkins in snooker's Championship League. World number 17 Neil Robertson took O'Sullivan's place at the tournament.
But here's what Ronnie revealed that gave us insight into his mindset. He described the decision as a nightmare and admitted he had exhausted himself. For a player who's competed at the highest level for over 3 decades, to reach a point of complete exhaustion speaks volumes about what he's been going through internally.
You know, I've obviously been on this 3-week trip away playing, and I just think I just exhausted myself. You know, a lot of pressure while I was away, and I just think the build-up of all that kind of just got a bit too much, really. So yeah, I mean.
The Masters withdrawal wasn't just about missing one tournament. It was the moment when fans realised that their hero might be more vulnerable than anyone had imagined. Here's where things get really concerning. Every single withdrawal follows the same pattern: medical reasons with no further details provided. The World Snooker Tour statements are identical, clinical, and reveal absolutely nothing about what's actually happening. The exact nature of his medical condition currently unclear, according to Sky Sports, but social media tells a different story. O'Sullivan posted a video of himself going through some strenuous exercises on Monday, with the Instagram caption reading, "Exercise is so important to me." So we have a player withdrawing due to medical reasons, yet posting videos of himself exercising intensively. What does this tell us? Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it something else entirely? The speculation is running wild among fans. Some point to his history of depression and mental health struggles. Others wonder if there's an undisclosed injury. Think about it. When you're 49 years old, have won everything there is to win, and keep citing medical reasons for withdrawals, are we witnessing a gradual retirement in disguise? Is Ronnie trying to step away from the game without making it official? Perhaps the most telling withdrawal of all was the English Open in September. Ronnie O'Sullivan has not yet given a reason for this withdrawal from the tournament that takes place practically in his backyard. The English Open is held in Brentwood, which is literally half an hour's drive from Ronnie's home in Chigwell. This isn't about travel fatigue or being away from family. This is about a player who won't even compete in his hometown tournament despite massive prize money being on offer. When a player starts avoiding tournaments in their own neighbourhood, that tells you everything about their current relationship with the sport. This wasn't about scheduling conflicts or medical appointments. This was about a man who couldn't face the pressure of competing, even when it couldn't be more convenient.
I've been bad for about 4 years, I've put in quite a lot of them performances, but people probably don't see much of them because a lot of games are done behind closed doors or you're in China, but there's been...
The English Open withdrawal was the moment when many fans realised this wasn't just a rough patch or a minor injury. This was something much deeper, much more concerning, and potentially much more permanent.
I don't even know how to correct it. That's the worrying thing, Sometimes you get a fault and you kind of go, oh, I know what I need to do, and I'm not far off of it, but I'm so far away. I don't even know where to begin to try and fix it. That's the worrying part for me.
While official statements remain frustratingly vague, Ronnie's social media activity has become a source of intense speculation among fans. That exercise video post has been analysed frame by frame by amateur detectives trying to figure out what's really going on. Exercise is so important to me, he wrote, seemingly in perfect physical condition. But it's
not a lot of positives to take from me playing the game over the last few years, so I don't know where you go with this,
Social media has also revealed something else interesting: the absence of any snooker-related content. A player who once lived and breathed the game now posts about exercise, family and lifestyle, but rarely mentions the sport that made him famous. Behind the scenes, the snooker world is buzzing with theories and concerns that nobody wants to voice publicly. Former players, commentators and insiders are all asking the same question: is this the beginning of the end for Ronnie O'Sullivan's career? Some point to his recent comments about playing into his 50s and beyond, suggesting these withdrawals are just temporary setbacks. But others note a disturbing pattern. Each withdrawal seems to be getting easier for him, as if he's gradually detaching himself from the competitive circuit. The 7-time world champion won't play until the World Snooker Championship at the Crucible after withdrawing from the World Grand Prix. The fact that he's essentially taking months off between tournaments suggests someone who's no longer feeling the constant hunger to compete. There are whispers about whether the pressure of being the Rocket has finally become too much. When you're held to impossible standards, when every match is scrutinised, when fans expect magic every time you pick up a cue, maybe even legends reach a breaking point.
The cue ball was pretty much all over the place, miss a lot of balls, so yeah, it made it quite easy for him,
Yeah, that looked like something you were trying to manage across the course of the tournament. How difficult was that, and do you feel like you were just off the pace in managing those technical aspects?
I've been bad for about 4 years, I've put in quite a lot of them performances, but people probably don't see much of them because...
The pattern is becoming clear. Ronnie can still produce magical moments when he chooses to compete, but he's choosing to compete less and less frequently. It's as if he's carefully managing his remaining appearances, saving his energy for moments when he feels truly motivated. But what happens to a legend who becomes increasingly selective about when they perform? What happens to the mystique, the fear factor, the aura of invincibility that made Ronnie O'Sullivan the most captivating player in snooker? The most heartbreaking aspect of this entire situation is the impact on Ronnie's fanbase. These aren't casual supporters. These are people who've followed his career for decades, who've celebrated his triumphs and suffered through his struggles. Reading social media comments after each withdrawal is like witnessing a collective therapy session. Fans are expressing concern, sharing their own mental health struggles, offering support, and desperately hoping for good news. The level of genuine love and worry is overwhelming. For many fans, Ronnie represents more than just snooker excellence. He represents the idea that you can overcome personal struggles, that talent combined with determination can conquer anything, that it's possible to be vulnerable and invincible at the same time. Watching him withdraw from tournament after tournament feels like watching a piece of their own sporting identity slowly disappear.